Alrighty guys, it is time for yet another memory tier list. I get it's a little bit late, but you know what? It doesn't matter, boys. It's all good. So, before getting further, please black flash like button of content and let's go, okay? So there's a few to go through now. We've got what, like about 12 or something. My last one was the day before Sukuna came out, which is crazy. It was only a month ago, but we have quite a few to go through, right? So, first off, we have difference in level, okay? This was the free one with the Sukuna event, which somehow already a month ago, but you know, kind of crazy. But anyway, right, what it does is if an ultimate or command skill is activated and if any ally's HP is 70% or above, it'll increase their damage dealt by 8% one turn one time, and then if their curse energy is 50 or above, it'll go another 8%, right? No way it's that low, bro. Is it actually that low? I thought it was like 80. Okay, whatever, right? But if that's what it is, that's not very good at all, right? So you got what, like 16% damage for the whole team, right? Or well, for the ally. So I guess if you want to buff your ally, then I guess, but that's not looking too good for me at all. That's gonna go probably an tier straight up because I don't see the use in that. No way, it's actually just 8%, but that's nothing, bro. But whatever, right? Next memory. Alright, next we have the King of Curses, okay? And this one obviously came out with Sukuna on his banner. Very nice artwork. Peep the artwork, boys. Does not get much better than that. It was actually on the team screen, like full of team formation stuff on launch, and it came like a year later. So interesting stuff, right? But what it does, it's gonna increase damage dealt by 90% on ult, and then it's for blue type attacks, right? So on paper, it's better than non-standard in terms of, like, you know, the damage dealt stuff, but Pride is, you know, still gonna be better because Pride is like a multiplier, while this is like a additional thing, right? So just think about it, right? Pride acts as like a multiplier for a curse technique, right? And the curse technique at the end of the day is what is gonna boost the damage for your ult, right? So this is gonna be applying the multiplier post already the old curse technique stack, right? So for example, say you got Sukuna and you have this on, the ult like skill is gonna be, you know, whatever damage is gonna be applied from the curse technique multiplier, while this is gonna be from the already old damage plus on top, right? So if you do the maths, you're gonna like almost always hit high numbers with Pride. So this one isn't gonna be as good. Don't get me wrong, it's still a good memory. Sometimes you don't, you know, want to use Pride. Say for example, like you have a, I don't know, a physical technique blue guy, and you know, you don't want to use Pride because it's curse technique. You can use this, right? So it has its uses. Not the best in my opinion, but still a pretty solid memory. I'm gonna put it up in really solid. It's still good. Nothing crazy, obviously. It's still a good memory though. We have Sorcerer's Resolutions next. I think this might have been given out like a decent bit ago, but I forgot to put it, I think. So this was on New Year for JP, and it's got, you know, the squad praying, you know, very nice stuff. And what it does, it just increases damage dealt by 25%, and then increases all allies taijutsu and jujutsu damage received by 7% for 4 turns. Nothing crazy at all, right? I don't think 25% for 2 turns is anything worth writing home about at all. So for that, right in mid tier. Alright, next we have the Shibuya Aura scene, right? Humans or curses, who will have the last laugh? If that's not like some Arkham stuff, like some Batman stuff, I don't know what is, bro. But peep the artwork. You got the whole squad, you know, posed up in Shibuya, like those "you are my special" stuff, right? Obviously, because my boy, he's not even sealed by this point, I don't think, but he's not there for whatever reason, right? So what it does, it's free to play from the, you know, the quest stuff, and it increases all allies rate damage by 50%. And then when equipping character leaves the field, so when this guy dies, recover all allies curse energy by 5. So maybe like Gojo, you could use that on because he'll leave early, give the team curse energy, but I don't see much use in it at all, to be honest. I get the break damage is like, it could be nice, but there's probably better options out there. I reckon mid tier is fair enough for this memory. We have morning practice with the principal, and first off, the shading on this like artwork, bro, is phenomenal. Such a good artwork. You know, you got my boy Yaga. I didn't know he was like jacked like that, bro. And then Panda as well, you know, looking, you know, as cool as ever. I know all you guys love Panda, so this does. It was like a new effect because when it came out, you actually couldn't see it in your box. You had to apply the new filters because there's no other, you know, disruption resistance effects in the game currently, I don't think. So this is the first one, which is actually decent, right? So there's gonna be this, and then the damage received by 10%, and then another 5% damage increase, right? So I think for what it is in terms of like utility, I don't think it's too bad. I think it's again mid because it's something new, right? We got a new little status effect, you know, counter, good stuff, right? You don't really see that much. So W memory. Alright, next we have Walk in Shibuya, okay? And this one is such a nice memory. I wanted this one so bad for my like background because you've got the, you know, the big, you know, the students, right? I was gonna say big three, but I don't know if they did enough with, like to warrant that. But you know, they're gotchas, right? And that's pretty cool, you know, them just, but making me so interested in it. I didn't know he was like that, but you know, whatever, right? So what it does is just a 85% taijutsu stat buff, and then it's going to do an extra 30% damage dealt for one turn with a counter active. So obviously going to be for like the Miwa cards or units who, you know, have counter states and all that. Besides her, can't really, you know, think about anyone that it would be really useful on. I think for what it is though, it is still a nice buff. I think it's really solid for the right character. Alright, next we have Encounter and Anticipation. We have Yuki and my boy Young Toto, okay? And this memory, it does increase its own damage up by 80%, and then it will do greater, you know, scaling in terms of how many Kyoto students are on the field, right? So alongside that, they're also going to have when the enemy enters break or is in break state, you'll get an extra 20% Jujutsu stat, right? So overall, nothing too crazy. I think it is a nice buff, but there's again always gonna be better options out there. I don't think it sucks by any means, but I think probably the top of mid tier is fine for that. I think. Alright, next we have Cat Rescue. Again, another memory I, you know, really want on my box. So this one's got my boy Ino. Maybe the first appearance of Ino. Oh no, actually no. He'd be with Nanami on the older memories, but this is a very nice card. He's got my boy, you know, the cat. Nanami, you know, he's like, you know, throw the cat down, you know, whatever, right? And what he does, it's going to increase his Jujutsu stat by 40% for 2 turns and recover own HP by 10%. And then he's also going to increase all enemies' continuous damage received by 10%. So what, like a poison or something it's going to work on. So I guess that's an okay memory. Nothing crazy. I'll put it in mid tier again. Not, you know, just an okay memory, right? Okay, next we have Bonds and Cooperation. This is on the map event, obviously. And this one's going to do 50% damage dealt for 2 turns 1 time. And then conceal status. So I think the enemy won't target her for attacks, I think. And then also for 2 turns 1 time, evasion. So pretty simple memory, but it is a nice one. Like you're getting evasion, buffs, and disruption. Oh, sorry, the concealment. I think it's actually an okay memory. I think, honestly, putting it maybe like, not you, I reckon maybe mid, I think, is fair enough for this memory. Yeah, I can live with that. Alright, next we have the souvenir pondering, okay? The one that just came out with Shoko. You know, got my boy Gojo looking at the t-shirt, whatever. No, I don't know what that means, but it's in back as well. This one's going to do decrease his own taijutsu damage received by 6% for 2 turns 1 time. And then, if their HP is below 50%, grant evasion status to Zelt for 3 turns 2 times, up to 1 time during battle. This one, I don't think it's too crazy by any means at all. I think there's going to be, you know, much better options, like a actual support memory, maybe a heal, alt gauge, whatever, right? But I don't think you ever need to do a single target thing for taijutsu. It makes no sense, honestly. So I think it's straight tier. I don't see the use, right? Okay, last we have the Utsuhime's stress relief method. I think that might be the first Utsuhime appearance in Phantom Parade. When she gets her character, she will be cool. She'll be another buffer like Shoko. I think, you know, I'm very keen for that, right? But until we get that, we have this memory. And I think she has a story event on JP, but I could be wrong. But anyway, right? This is going to be a free-to-play, obviously, from the Shoko event. And it's going to decrease own damage received by 25% for 2 turns. And fill 100 alt gauge, which is kind of in my opinion. And then from the 4th turn, increases own damage dealt by 10% 2 turns 1 time. So, it's okay, I guess. Nothing crazy, but I think probably like I think tier again is fine, I think. Last we have Heroes Conditions, okay? This one was on the Mechamaru story event, the Muta story event. It's going to do a 50% increase to Taijutsu stat, and it's going to scale with the Kyoto students. So they're kind of pushing this whole Kyoto thing, right? But if we don't have a solid lineup, bro, what are we doing? Like, there's no good Toto. There's one good Mai. Debatably one good Miwa. One good Momo, maybe two. And like, I guess an okay Kamo. Like, there's a lot of room to improve with Kyoto, but for now it's what we have, so we got to be happy with it. I guess that's the tier as well. Bro, I won't lie, this month has been kind of L with memories, bro, but in the future I'm sure we're going to cook. So that's all for today's video. If you guys enjoy, be sure to black flash like button for content, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.